You guys just take seats right down here on the floor around here, okay? Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Come on up, Heidi. Yeah. Okay. Okay, what do you guys see in front of you here? What is this little box thing? You see toys, yeah, okay. Yeah, what is this box part here, though? Familiar with what that might look like? What it is? A manger, yeah. What's a manger?
Kind of like a crib.
Okay, well, that's how it gets used, like a crib, but really a manger is something that animals might eat their food out of. Okay, comes from a French word, manger, whatever. But anyway, yeah, a manger, okay? So what we want to think about here in the next few weeks is this phrase, prepare him room. You know, in that song, Joy to the World, that we just sang, did you hear that one part said, let every heart prepare him room? Okay, so what do you see here in this manger? We're going to start pulling this stuff out and just see what we have in here, okay? So you see toys? So Corbin sees toys. So I'm going to give you this one right here. Why don't you hang on to that, okay? And each one of you, why don't you grab something and pull it out and let's see what we have. Okay? And there's more than, you're going to have a couple of things here, okay? Go ahead and pull it out, that's fine. You found something. Okay? We're going to need more than that too. Hey, do you want to get something out of here too? Yeah, what do you see in here? You want the clock? How about that? Your dad can put that in his toolbox later. And now he's going to leave it back. Okay, everybody grab one more thing out of there too. I want this empty. Okay. Let the record show Corbin thinks fish and tackle is a toy box. Yeah, mask, okay. All right.
Next time I go fishing, I go.
There you go, yeah. Here, I'll put that with it too, okay?
Where's the key for this?
Oh, you don't need a key. I'll open it up for you.
Okay.
Here, why don't you take that one? Here, you can take that one.
I take the thing
Here, you can have this. Here, you can hang on to that. Okay, so let's tell everybody out there, because they can't see what you guys have. What do you have? Let's start with you, Evangeline. Tell us what you have. Okay, so you've got a big Christmas wreath, and you've got a video game, Minecraft, okay? Okay, what about you, Corbin? What do you have?
I have a fish toy box.
Okay.
A barn.
Okay, he's got some fishing tackle. He's got a Fisher-Price barn, okay? How about you, Scarlett?
A clock.
She's got a big clock. Anything else? Okay, and a killer whale.
I have his mask.
It's just a puppet. It's okay. All right,
I
okay.
have a mask.
Okay, she's got a mask. There's a cell phone. Anything else? Okay, another video game. Okay, what do you have, Naomi? A clock and a book, and what else do you have? What's this? A bag of candy. Okay, and how about you? What do you have? Yeah, okay. She's got a skill saw here, a jigsaw, a basketball, another mask. Okay, and how about you? What do you have? Yep.
That's Gideon's.
Okay, we got a book on speaking Spanish.
That's
Okay.
That's Gimmy's.
Okay, yeah. Got a hammer and a tape measure. Okay, so what do you think? Are these things good or bad? Good? Okay. Yeah, there's
This mask.
nothing, well, maybe the mask. Some people might, like, well, okay. Yeah, these aren't bad things. And these things,
Mama loves masks.
Mama loves maskas. I don't think Mama would agree with you, but, okay. Yeah. But, yeah, these aren't bad or good things. And on their own, they could be good things when they're used the right way. But let's talk about this for a minute now. Okay, now this manger is empty, and somebody said that this is like a crib. Was that you, Evangeline? Okay.
That's me too.
That was you too? Okay, she wants credit as well. Okay. So I want to highlight this passage of Scripture today with this, and we're going to think about this each week, okay? So you kids, Luke chapter 2, 1 through 7 tells us a little bit about the story that we know for Christmas, okay? It says, "In those days a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration when Quirinius was governor of Syria, and all went to be registered, each to his own town. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, from the town of Nazareth to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed, who was with child. And while they were there, the time gave for her to give birth. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling cloths, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn." Where would you find a feeding trough or a manger usually?
In a barn.
In a barn, in a stable. So any of the mothers out here that have given childbirth, would that be the place you'd like to go to give birth?
No.
A barn or a cave, some place like that. That's nasty where the animals are.
No.
No?
Only a monster would be there.
Only a monster would be there? Okay. That'd be a pretty scary place to give birth.
Or the medic can go in a house.
Yeah. Much rather be in a house or in a hospital or a birthing center or something like that, right?
Or in a
Okay,
cave.
so why do you think Jesus was born and he was placed in a manger? Well, it tells us up here, because there was no place for them in the inn. What's an inn? Like an apartment, like a hotel, okay? There was no place for them to stay at the inn. So Mary and Joseph had to go out to like a barn, like a place where animals were kept, and that's where they gave birth to Jesus. And he was placed in a manger. Okay. Now, what are we doing with all of this stuff here? Huh? Playing? Okay, yeah. What I want us to think about here is sometimes all of this stuff in our lives can fill up the place where Jesus should be. Okay? So this time of year we think about Jesus being in a manger, but can he be in this manger if it's all full of Christmas decorations and video games and tools and clocks and all this kind of stuff? No. There's no room for him, right? Yeah. So what we need to do in our lives and in our hearts is clean that stuff out so that there's room for Jesus to be in our hearts and in our lives. Now I want to say again, there isn't anything wrong with these things here, but there is something wrong when those things take Jesus' place. Okay? If we worry too much about time, or too much about work, or too much about video games, or decorations, or toys, then that's a problem. And Jesus doesn't have room in our hearts like he should. So we're going to be talking today about especially this one right here, about time, okay? That sometimes our schedules and the things, yes, and that one too. She's right on top of it. She has the other clock here, okay? Sometimes our schedules and the stuff that we fill our schedules up with don't make room for Jesus. So we're going to talk about our schedules today, okay? We have a clock. We have two clocks here. Only one of them's right, though. This one's working. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is take all of this stuff and just pile it over there for now, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Good job, kids. Now, I'm still talking to the kids, but also I want to emphasize this same theme here with the adults. Do you say this, or think this, or feel this very much? I tend to do this multiple times a day with my own kids, and especially on Sunday. My daughter this morning Okay? It was like, Dad, come look outside. And the sun was coming up, and it was beautiful. You know, I was really tempted in that moment. I don't have time for that right now. I'm like, oh, but I'm going to be preaching this sermon today, so okay, so I went and looked and said, oh man, that's beautiful. You know, sometimes, and this time of year can be notorious for it too. It can be filled up with so many things going on. Now, because of COVID, probably it's less crowded than it has been, but we tend to fill it up with other stuff too. Okay? Our schedules, our work, the things that we're doing can sometimes crowd out Jesus in our hearts. And so I want to think about that today. You know, there's this thing in the Old Testament where Jesus refers back to it many times, the law. And we see in Exodus and in Deuteronomy a retelling of the Ten Commandments that Moses shared with his people. And I want to focus on one of them in particular, having to do with our schedules, okay? So this is from Exodus 20, verses 8 through 11. And Moses said, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, your male servant or your female servant, or your livestock, or the sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Okay, so I want this series today and the next 3 weeks to be a little bit interactive as well with you adults. Why did God give us this instruction in the law to remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy? What do you guys think? Corbin's ready to raise his hand again.
Because he wanted all the people to know what they were saying.
Wanted all the people to know what he was saying. All right, I like it. Thanks, Corbin. Anybody else? Why did God command his people to rest on the seventh day?
Because he rested.
Because he rested. Okay? Now let me ask this question. Does God get tired? I mean, I would be Bush if I was like creating the whole world and everything around. But I don't know that God was tired. Do you think God was tired when he created everything? What do you think, right?
You're supposed to rest on that day to give thanks
Okay.
and rest and reflect and get
Good.
back to God and remember who he is and where he belongs.
Okay, rest and reflect. I like that, okay? So, when God created all things and he just spoke them into being, he didn't need a hammer and a measuring tape and all that kind of stuff. He knew exactly what he was doing when he spoke them into being out of nothing, right? I don't think he was tired. What he did is he was setting an example for us what to do and for us to rest and reflect as well. Okay? So I see this in some of my kids every once in a while when they rearrange their room. And they do it, and we do this too. When my wife redecorates the living room, and we've been doing this here recently here through fall and through Christmas, it tends to get makeovers more frequently. You know, and then so it gets done, and then I just see every once in a while, Lisa will go into the kitchen, just kind of look at the living room, then go in, you know, and then a little bit later, just kind of looking at it, you know, it's like, oh yeah, it looks pretty. I like the way this is laid out here. You know, I kind of think that's what God was doing. He created all things, and he said, it's good, it's good, it's good. And when he was all done, he said, it's very good. And then he rested. I could almost imagine him kicking back in his cosmic rocker and just kind of like, man, this is all very good. And he's enjoying it, you know? So it's the same thing for us when he says, I rested on the seventh day after my work. I want you to do the same. I want you to enjoy everything that I've made. To remember who he is, too, okay? So that's one thing. And you know what? If we don't take a rest from our work, what happens to work?
You start to resent it.
Oh, we start to resent it. Are you on top of your game, doing the best work here? Okay, our work tends to decline a little bit too. Okay, actually we tend to start getting crabby at everybody around us too, and start taking it. When that starts to happen, then everything sort of kind of comes apart like that too. Let's look at also in Deuteronomy 5. This is like a second telling of the law that Moses does in the book of Deuteronomy, reminding his people once again what God had commanded them. So he focuses in just a little bit differently this time on this same commandment. Deuteronomy 5, 12 through 15. Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter or your male servant or your female servant or your ox or your donkey or any of your livestock or the sojourner who is within your gates. First of all, let me just stop and say, is God thorough here? I mean, it's kind of like what you do with your kids, right? Okay, I want you to go get the trash and bring it out and dump it here. Not here, not here, and get all of the trash cans, and don't spill it on the way, and make sure that you get it all in the trash can, and if you don't, then pick it up and put it in. That's kind of what he's doing here, you know? Being very thorough with all of this, so that you get the idea here, okay? That your male servant and your female servant may rest as well as you. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. And the Lord your God brought you out from there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. So this one's a little bit different than the first one. There was an emphasis in Exodus about resting from your work. But in this one, what do you see that might be a little bit different emphasis that Moses is telling his people here?
I have to go with remember.
Okay. Yeah. So Brady's smart. He sees I underlined remember. Okay? Remember. And remember what? What are we to remember?
What God did for us.
Remember what God did for us. And for Israel, it was, He set you free. You know what? Work used to be your master. Right? You never, ever got a break. You had to do what Pharaoh said all the time. That was your master. But now, I've set you free. I'm your master. Work is not your master. Okay? You're set free. Remember what God has done for you. That's one of the great things about when we do this well, is that we remember all the things God has done for us. When your schedule is crazy and you're working all the time and so many things are out of whack, it's hard to remember what God has done. All of a sudden, all those other things crowd in and fill in His place. And so all of a sudden, we don't remember as well the blessings that we have. So there's an emphasis here in this one is remember that work and that these other things are not your master. I am. I've set you free from all of that. And here's some final instruction for us. Paul says in Ephesians 5, 15 through 17, look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time, because the days are evil. Therefore do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. Okay, please hear in me today in what I'm saying that work is good. I don't want you kids to go like, oh, he was preaching that sermon about rest, and so I'm just going to do it really well. And I'm going to rest all 7 days, and then I'm going to remember God really well. No, that's not the deal, okay? God calls us to work. And so in those 10 commandments, you see 6 days work. He's saying majority of the time, work. For you kids that are doing this level of math, 6/7 of the time, work. Okay? You need to be a working people, producing good things, because God is a working God as well. He's creating, He's doing things all the time, and He didn't stop from that. Okay, so we need to work. But you know what? We can't let it get out of whack. We can't 7 out of 7 days work. All the time I'm working, and therefore I'm not resting. My work has become my master again, or my schedule has become my master again, or all of a sudden I don't remember what God has done for me because I'm so busy all the time. there needs to be a break. Now people ask me, well, how can you do it then? Because you're working on the Lord's day, you know? Well, Monday is my Sabbath day. I'm not exactly doing it like he said here, but I'm still trying to follow that same principle. Is that one day out of the week, I'm resting. I'm saying, okay, on this day, I'm saying yes to you. Let's play games. I'm saying yes, we'll go look at the sunset and the sunrise. I'm saying yes today. The other days, I'm going to be working and providing as God does. But I am going to take that one day for sure to also remember it's not about me. If I stop working, God's still working. He's got it. He's got control of all this. Okay? It's not all on me here. But we need to look at this here. We need to keep things in balance. He says, walk carefully in this world because there's a lot of things that we want to fill up in the place where Jesus is to take his spot. We can't do that. We've got to make the best use of the time. Okay? We need to think about it. We need to work at it. And if you're not careful, work and schedule can take over. Right? We are in control of that. So we've got to be careful. Don't be foolish. Understand what the will of the Lord is. The Lord wants us to walk in that way. So today we have been cleaning this stuff out. Okay? And kids, in the weeks to come, we're going to be putting back in or preparing for Jesus and his coming. Okay? So we're going to be doing this each week. But this week, you know, I'm speaking to adults to be mindful of our schedules because we're the ones that are working more and have a lot more things to do. What about you kids? You know, what can that look like for you? When, you know, Naomi over there isn't going like, man, my work is just crazy, you know, I just can't keep on top of stuff. There's just so many demands, you know. It's not like that. But maybe for you kids that don't have full-time jobs and stuff like that, you know, do your schoolwork, work hard at that, but don't let it take over. Maybe if you have an argument with a brother or a sister, turn to the Lord first. Pray, God, help me to repair things with them. Help me to get along with them. Spend some time talking with your mom and dad about what God is teaching you and how you grow in your faith. Spend some time reading his word a little bit every day. You know, that's also keeping him in the right place in your life. Okay? Don't let it be about everything else and to be about games and toys and fun. Let him be first and foremost in your lives. That's walking wisely in the ways of the Lord. So God's got that to say to all of us, no matter what place in life we're in. Okay? So next week we're going to be looking at worries and anxieties and how those can fill up our hearts and push Jesus out of our lives. And I think that's going to be an important one for us to think about as 2020 has been full of worries and anxieties. Okay? That's the weeks to come. But thank you for your time today. Spend some time intentionally thinking about what is in the way. Is there something here in the way of my relationship with God that maybe I can make Jesus a little bigger in my life here? We're called to magnify him, make him a little bit bigger in our lives. What things are in the way? For many of us, that's going to be schedule to think about. Maybe make a small tweak. Don't do a huge one like, okay, I'm quitting my job, and then, you know, just maybe make a small tweak or adjustment to give him a little bit more prominent place in your life. I'm going to start my day reading the Word and prayer. I'm going to end my day thinking about how the day has gone and encouraging somebody. Maybe at lunchtime, I'm going to give somebody a call and encourage them. Just figure out small ways maybe you can use your time a little bit better for him and make more room for him in your life.